In this video, we're going to be talking about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency using astrology. And this is our second update video that I'm making on this channel. And in this video, I'll be sharing why I am feeling optimistic about Bitcoin in the month of March and April using astrology. And this video is not financial advice, it's just my opinion. So you can use it to either confirm what you feel or what you believe, or to disagree as well. So don't take this as financial advice. I am not an advisor. And this should be more of an interesting video, give us an astrological perspective on things. Now, with that being said, about 11 hours ago, Bitcoin had its lunar return, and this just shows what cycle Bitcoin is in terms of its growth, because the moon rules growth, it rules development, and a lunar return is when the moon returns to its place of birth. So for Bitcoin, the chart for Bitcoin was the date that the first block was generated, the Genesis block on the internet, and we know the exact transaction time, and that's the chart that I used. So 11 hours ago, Bitcoin had its lunar return, which means the moon returned to the same place that it was at birth, and this happens once every 29 days, and it kind of gives us an update of which part of the cycle Bitcoin is in. And as we can tell, the ascendant is in Aries, and Aries is about new beginnings. It's about a fresh start. And Bitcoin had its lunar return shortly after a new moon, and new moons are about fresh beginnings, a new start, a new point in the cycle. And the part of fortune is in the first house. The part of fortune shows what part of the cycle that we're in. And when it's a new moon, it's in the first house, which is about novelty. So we're turning a fresh page in this month of March for Bitcoin. Now, previously, we talked about Venus in Capricorn. Venus is the planet of value. And when it was in Capricorn, the sign of pessimism, restrictions, limitations, and just blockages, this showed a downtrend in the price of Bitcoin. And that's what we talked about in the last update. And right about at this point was when Venus entered Capricorn on November 5th, 2021. And ever since that date, we've been seeing a downward cycle. And this is where I had recorded my last video on, I believe, the 25th of February or the 26th. But, what we saw with Venus in Sagittarius, which was right before Venus entered Capricorn, is that we were going to hit a new, not a new limit, but we were going to hit a previous limit, return to a previous price level. And that's because when Venus entered Sagittarius, which is the sign before Capricorn, the ascendant was in Capricorn, which is about limitations, limits. And Saturn was retrograde. When a planet is retrograde, it's about the past. It's about a return to a previous point. So this is how we saw in the astrology, in hindsight, that we're going to hit a limit, despite the optimism that Sagittarius usually indicates. And so that's where we left off. And in my previous video, I just considered the possibility that with Venus entering a new sign and leaving Capricorn, that perhaps we could be at the bottom, at least in the short term. And could Bitcoin's price increase? Could this be the end of the downwards trajectory? And the reason being is because when Venus goes into Aquarius, it's going to leave Capricorn which indicated this downwards period, this pessimism, this debt, even because Pluto was in Capricorn on the ascendant. And Pluto is all about debt. So a lot of people have been selling or being liquidated due to debt. And anyways, so with Venus, the planet of value, entering Aquarius, which is all about technology, all about progress, it's all about innovation. We are seeing astrologically a period of optimism regarding cryptocurrencies. And before I move on to the next slide, I believed personally that this could be the bottom, because not only is Venus now leaving the sign of Capricorn, but this point of low action, low price, of selling action was happening after a full moon. And full moons indicate a downwards price motion, and they usually coincide with a bottom in the price. And so to demonstrate, I have this full moon indicator, and each of the white circles indicate a full moon. The black circles are new moons, and new moons coincide with a peak in the price action. Now, the price doesn't exactly align on all of the moon transits, but generally speaking, when there's a full moon, there's a bottom in the price, as we see right here. And then with new moons, which I'll circle in green, it usually coincides with the top in the microcycle, or in the short term. It's kind of a back and forth motion. So in one of these new moons right here, there was actually a delay in the peak, but for the most part, new moons show a top in price. So you'll perhaps see it better right here with these 4 new moons. You can see the tops that coincide with each of the new moons. And now when I circle the full moons, you'll be able to see as well how they line up with a price bottom. And I got to change the color to red, because this indicates, downwards price. And that way it's going to be more clear. But as you can tell, full moons coincide with bottoms. So there tends to be one major bottom every full moon, which is every 28 days. And there tends to be some sort of microcycle top. And that just means some sort of top in the short term when it comes to new moons. And this day right here, where the price was really dumping, specifically on that wick, which is the day I recorded this first astrological update. This was between a full moon, which was, around this point right here, and a new moon, which actually ended up happening on the 2nd of March. So it ended up happening 2 days ago for me recording this video. So just given the fact that Venus is exiting Capricorn, and that this was a full moon date, between a full moon and a new moon date, this to me felt like a significant moment that could indicate us changing trajectory, and this being the potential, bottom, at least in the short term. And with Venus entering Aquarius, the question is, where are we headed next? Now that we're exiting this downwards motion. And whenever there's downwards motion, and whenever you are able to purchase at a bottom, then you're able to basically capitalize. Financial advisors will tell you that you'd want to buy things when they're low, not when they're high. And so being able to know astrology and understand the upcoming transit into Aquarius, this was an opportunity that we could capitalize on if we believed that this was going to be the bottom. And sure enough, as of me speaking, we're around at 40K. So we're up about $4,000 from when I recorded. But at the time of the new moon, we were up to 45K almost, or 44K to be exact. So we were up $8,500 or so on the new moon on March 2nd. So sure enough, we did see a quick upturn and an increase in price. And we've left those low levels. So now we're going to be talking about Venus entering Aquarius, which is the sign of technology. And Venus enters Aquarius on March 6th, which is tomorrow, as of me recording this video. And this is the chart for Venus entering Aquarius. And we see that on the ascendant, we have Pisces, which is the sign of possibilities. It's about the infinite. It's also about non-physical things, so virtual things. It's about imagination, and it's about art. So in terms of Venus and in terms of value, what we're seeing is that we're entering a period of financial optimism and financial possibilities, especially when it comes to cryptocurrency, because in the sign of Venus, we have Uranus, which is all about technologies. It's all about the internet. It's all about change. So we're in a period of financial change that's going to be lasting several years, at least at its peak levels, because Uranus will stay in Taurus until 2027 or 26. And it's been in Taurus since 2019. But recently, we've also had the North Node, which is all about progress and success, entering the sign of Taurus. And so we're in this period of financial revolution. That's what astrology is showing us. And in terms of Venus entering Aquarius, the sign that's rising on the horizon was Pisces. And we have Jupiter, the planet of expansion and optimism, being conjunct the ascendant. And then we have Neptune, which is all about illusions or just imagination. It's the ruler of Pisces. So generally speaking, with Venus entering Aquarius, which is all about technology, the wealth will be flowing towards the internet and towards technology, towards innovative things, especially financial technologies, digital currencies, things of that nature, because the ruler of Aquarius is Uranus, and it's in Taurus, which is all about money, finances, valuable things. So this is a positive astrological indicator for cryptocurrencies. And we're seeing that there's going to be a lot of optimism financially during this period. So people would be feeling optimistic about cryptocurrencies in the month of March, because Venus tends to stay in a sign for about a month before moving to the next one. And what we saw with Venus when it entered Capricorn, which is the sign of restrictions and pessimism, blockages, because it's ruled by Saturn, which is about limitations. And what we saw was that the sign that was rising was Capricorn, and we had the planet Pluto, which is all about destruction, and it's all about debt, it's all about fear. So we entered a period of fear, and as you can tell, that's what was happening in terms of the prices. That's what was impacting these prices, was fear and debt, because a lot of people were taking debt around this time in order to invest in cryptocurrency. So it affected the crypto market. When we didn't break out on November, I believe, was this the 10th or the 11th that we had this peak? But when the price started backtracking, a lot of people's borrowed positions started getting sold. A lot of debt had to get paid back, and this just pushed the prices down. That's my theory about what was going on that made the downwards action even worse. But as you can tell now, with Venus entering Aquarius, what we're seeing optimism. We're seeing Jupiter, which is all about benevolence, luck, expansion. And if you guys don't know what Jupiter looks like, that's the symbol for Jupiter. And it's conjunct the ascendant. So a lot of financial optimism. So with that being said, the next transit is Venus entering Pisces. And that's what this next video in this series is going to be about. We're going to take a look at the chart for Venus and Pisces. But generally speaking, March, in my opinion, will be a month of financial optimism. And we could see the price retest previous highs as well. And if the optimism is enough to reach that level, it's possible we can break a little bit higher. But what I'm seeing though is that when Venus enters Pisces, there's going to be some limitations. We're going to hit a limit at some point. And that's due to the chart for Venus and Pisces. When it enters, we're seeing a lot of things with Saturn. And Saturn is about limitations. So, in my opinion, and from what I can see astrologically speaking, we don't know exactly what's going to happen, but astrologically speaking, we should see an increase in price throughout March. General optimism, a good period for cryptocurrencies. And in late March, actually perhaps April, because that's when Venus enters Aquarius, we could see a new high, a new limit being reached. And after that, though, as with any increase in price, there's always a pullback. There's always balance that returns to the market. There's always downwards action after a period of excessive increase. But what we're really seeing is that Venus entering Aquarius could be an extremely optimistic time. And that's what I wanted to share with you guys for this update. So hopefully this was insightful and it wasn't too scattered. But yeah, again, this is not financial advice. This is just my opinion. And to update you guys on what I personally was doing, I personally bought some cryptocurrencies. I bought Cardano at the time that we had these discounted prices, because I really felt like this could be a transition period, and the astrology is showing us we're transitioning to new energy, especially something that's optimistic. So I'm just going to leave it at that. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, then don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to this channel. And other than that, I will talk to you guys soon in another video. Peace.